2012, 2013 was a difficult one because not only was I failing out of school, but the love of my life was also leaving me. I did slip into depression and had actual suicidal thoughts. I couldn't find people who understood what I was going through at that time. At that point, I decided if we're going to do this, then I'm going to find 10 people who graduated with a first class and I'm going to submit to them. In 2014, I ended up returning to University of Port Harcourt, and 4 years later, I emerged as the university's overall best graduating student. My name is Ezekiel Ulebor, but I'm more popularly known as the UniPort Dropout.
Hey, friends, and welcome back to the Intentional Minds podcast. This is a podcast where we explore the mindsets, the habits, and the principles that help us to live with purpose, grow intentionally, and build a life that truly matters. I'm your host, Divine Marizu, and today's episode is one I've been truly looking forward to. I had the pleasure of having a conversation with Ezekiel Ulebor, popularly known as the UniPort Dropout. In this episode, we dive deep into his story from dropping out of school and being depressed and suicidal to returning years later and becoming the overall best graduating student. We go into his mindset, then the strategies that helped him achieve success for himself. Today, Ezekiel is thriving globally. He's a TEDx speaker, a podcaster, and empowering others through his voice and his mission. This is an episode that you don't want to miss. So, without much delay, let's get into it. Hi, Mr. Ezekiel. Good to have you on the Intentional Minds podcast. How are you doing today?
Hello, hello, Divine. Thank you so much. It's an absolute honor being here today. I'm doing great, doing really great.
Amazing. I'm so excited for us to get into this conversation because we've known each other for quite some time. And you're one person who has genuinely had an impact in my life, going back to my days in Uniport, which we have in common. And I just want to say thank you. And I'm so excited to get into this conversation because for those who are listening, I'm sure that by the time they learn your story, they'll be so inspired and moved on to like take life by the horn and live more intentional life. But that's one of the things that we do in this podcast. And I mentioned the word Uniport, and you're popularly known as the Uniport Dropout. Can you tell us how that name sort of started? That will give us some context as to getting to know you.
Okay, thank you so much, Divine. And it's really an honor. Every time I hear that, when someone telling me that a bit of my story or the whole of my story inspired them, I really get emotional because I know that's my life's purpose to inspire people. So thank you so much, Divine. It's been an honor knowing you as well. Right. So my name is Ezekiel Ulebor, but I'm more popularly known as the Uniport Dropout. So for context, I came into University of Port Harcourt in 2005, thereabout. Yeah, 2005 for the basic program, like a pre-degree program. Then
Yeah,
Uniport is called the basic program, and then in 2006 I got into 100 level in geology. Well, like every other person who hopes to graduate with a first class, on day one, everyone has a first class, and everybody hopes to graduate a first class. But for me,
yeah,
I ended up not graduating. I would end up doing the 4 years of the program and do 2 extra years. So I'm actually not the Uniport dropout. I'm actually the Uniport fail out because I didn't even drop out. I ran through the whole um, necessary 6 years. And after that, usually they will either give you a certificate of attendance or something like that. But for me, I didn't even pass all my courses. So I went back home in 2012. In 2014, I ended up returning to University of Port Harcourt, and 4 years later, I emerged as the university's overall best graduating student. And I think that's when people around the world began to know who I am. Had to, show up in events as a keynote speaker, TEDx speaker, and people began to really understand the story behind the Uniport dropout. So yeah.
absolutely. Already, someone listening to this is already inspired because you just narrated how you were at this point in your life, whereby like you dropped out, failed out, and then came back and became the best graduating student. It didn't just happen by chance, right? So let's just deep into that story. Let's first go back to 2012, right? 6 years in the Department of Geology, and then you dropped out, right? What was that moment was like for you? Just describe that moment at which you failed out.
The dropout phase.
Yeah, just that particular moment. Yeah.
Ah,
How would you
Divine, don't
describe
make me cry on your podcast, okay? Okay, right. So 2012, I kind of realized early that I was also going to get all my grades by the second extra year. And at that point, family had come to know that I was still in school doing a course that was supposed to be for 4 years. Um, I had an amazing lady in my life at that time. Um, um, she was already a medical doctor at this point. I was still struggling with school. So that year for me, 2012, 2013 was a difficult one.
it?
2012, 2013 was a difficult one because not only was I failing out of school, but the love of my life was also leaving me, if you get what I mean. And it really broke me. So at that point, I was at the lowest low. And that's why I'm grateful for the friends I had at that time. People like Charles Emmanuel, who is also here in the UK now. Amazing friends, just a few of them, but a core group of people who still believed that there was something that good that could come out of this guy. So right, so 2012 2013 was a season of emptiness for me. And here's another thing, Divine. I ended up becoming one of the most pessimistic human beings. So I
Wow.
would see someone graduate with a first class, right? Or
Yeah.
graduate with a 2-1. And I would tell myself that, oh, all of these people, look at him. He's not even fine, self. You just sacrifice your whole life to get a first class. Look at her. Oh, she didn't even have a social life in school. So I was here creating reasons for why their success wasn't good enough, just so I
Wow.
could make myself feel better.
Wow.
So when I hear people complain today about stuff, I'm like, hey, I've been there before. I've complained, I've been the negative person, and trust me, it didn't help me in any way. So
Yeah.
that was my life at that time. Not only was I empty, but I was seeking to drag other people's success down and make it look less of itself.
Wow. Wow. That's very interesting to know. I never knew this. I never knew this. And one of the things that makes me, when I reflect on that particular moment in your life, was that there had to be have been feeling of like depression or like suicidal thoughts during that phase of your life, right? You mentioned the key people who helped you kind of like to come out of it. But take us through what your mindset was like during that period. What helped you to come out from that emptiness?
Right. Yeah, Divine. Thank you so much. Yeah, of course. Um, I've shared it on stages over time, or even on the TEDx stage in University of Port
Right.
Harcourt, how that I did slip into depression and had actual suicidal thoughts. So, like I said, I had just failed out of school. I was still struggling with sharing the real truth with my family at this point. So, we're talking my mother, my father, family. I was too ashamed to tell them that this guy who it's not like I was a dullard. No one could ever have said I was a dullard, but
Yeah.
just couldn't put myself together to be able to do well in the Department of Geology at that time. So um the the sadness of not being able to share with my family exactly the phase that I was in my life. The fact that the amazing lady in my life was about leaving me because I mean she said other reasons, but the truth be told, if you're a medical doctor and the person you're dating is a dropout, you don't look for the reasons why you leave the person, right? So I felt less of myself. I actually ended up feeling like it would be better for everyone in my space if I wasn't on this earth. And anyone who's ever had suicidal tendencies, that's usually the feeling. You actually feel like you're doing good to the world by taking your own life. So people think that, oh, suicide, you just how can you want to kill yourself? No, you're not seeing it as you killing yourself. You're seeing it as, okay, I've messed up my life. Can I do this one thing that can be great? Can I just take myself out of the equation so that every other person can feel good? You're actually seeing you're taking your own life as a service to humanity. You're like, you know what? Even this oxygen I'm breathing now, if I'm not here, maybe some other special human being will get to breathe it. So can I stop taking up space and taking up resources from everyone else. And that feeling of suicide comes from a feeling of worthlessness. You feel like there isn't much that you could do with your life. And what's even worse is that you speak to a few people about it and then they don't even get it. That's why I decided to retain the name, the Uniport Dropout, because I get it. Have been there, So people are not able to relate with you from a place of failure, either because they are too ashamed or they just want to listen to you so they can respond. Like they're not listening to you to take in what you're saying, and help you. They're really listening to you at that point of your failure so they could tell you what you are not doing right and what you can do better. There are times in our lives where we are not looking for the solution. We're just looking for a bit of sympathy or empathy at that time. And if we don't get it, it doesn't matter how much of the solution you share with me. From that point on, I disconnect. And this is just a human nature. So that was it for me, and that's how.
I really appreciate you sharing this. And it makes me really wonder and ask this question. Is there any justification for suicide? Because you shared a moment where you are like almost your lowest point in life and these thoughts were there. And there are many other young people today who are like in their very low point and also considering suicide. Do you think there's any justification for it?
Well, now that's a very deep one. There's no justification for suicide, divine. However, I do feel that people around the world need to understand people a lot more and be able to help them, because I remember, and again, that's exactly why I retained the name, the Uniport Dropout, even after I had become best graduating student and all, because I couldn't find people who understood what I was going through at that time. You know how they will even tell you, oh, go and seek counseling, and you go, you share, but the person doesn't just get you.
Actually.
The advice is going to the other side, and it ends up worsening the situation, if you get what I mean. So
Yeah.
while suicide is never an option, um, and this is for those who are, so while suicide is never an option, I do understand the reason why it's on the high, because most times people just keep this thing to themselves. And when they are poised to share, they end up sharing 8 out of 10 times they share, and then the person doesn't quite get them. And then it even worsens the situation. Um, and if I'm to say this to someone who is feeling that way, or even not just suicidal, the milder one, depression, or feeling emotionally down, the message will be there is always a way out. I did a video a few days ago, about a less than 1 minute video that I share on social media, and I was saying that, for whatever challenge you're going through, someone has gone through it before. So just have the patience to find that one person, that one business, that one company, that one culture, that one community that has gone through what you are currently going through. And we are living in an amazing time, Divine, because you can literally find anyone, you can find people online. Imagine those who lived their lives at the 40 years ago, 70 years ago. So all you knew was what was in your space, what was in your direct physical geographical community,
Yeah.
right? But here we are. If I want to study about Jamaica, by the time I scan through YouTube and Instagram and LinkedIn and maybe TikTok and find me using the algorithm, find stuff around Jamaica and Jamaicans, you see that I would have ended my research having a few things, knowing a few slangs,
Yeah.
knowing the culture of the Rasta and all of that.
Yeah.
So now more than ever before, we can find solace, we can find solutions, we can find opportunity. So my message will be, if you're feeling down, you're feeling depressed, or even worse, you're feeling suicidal, there is a way out. There's always a way out. You just need to have that patience, that little bit of patience, to find you a tribe that has been through what you've been through, but ultimately believes in where you're going.
That's so true. Anyone who is going through their lowest point in life right now should just keep saying this to themselves, right? There's always a way out. Because truly, there's always a way out. I know that people have gone through this. Personally, I love reading autobiographies of amazing individuals. And you come to find out that most of these people we admire today Actually, we are in a point whereby you are with them. You might not even see a way out, but they push you, and that will like give you this like mindset that truly there's always a way out, and it's just such a powerful mindset and tool to have at our disposal. Because the truth is that we're all going to have our various low points in life. In fact, it's not a wish, but like it's just like more are even coming. We lose our loved ones, right? Bad things happen in the world, unforeseen occurrences, but we just have to have just this mental fortitude and mindset that there's always a way out of it. Really appreciate you sharing that. But then that was not your story. You came out of it. So I think where I would like to go on now is like to the positive side, right? As to what changed for you. Because in 2014, you came back, right? So what was that wake up call that made you return to school?
Okay, Divine. So you said that was not my story, right? That was not all of the story, but
Yeah,
that was a large chunk of the story because that side of the story
yeah,
gave color to what eventually became. I mean, think about it. How many people do you know who have graduated as overall best graduating students of University of Port Harcourt? So many, right? How many of them can you name? Not very many. Even for me, who was inducted into the Hall of Fame
yeah.
of overall best graduating students, I literally saw all the names of all of us from time immemorial. Even I can't remember a lot of those names right now. Um, so um, that part of my life is the reason why people can remember my success story. So
Actually,
you want to go to the good side of things. Well, so first off, I decided I was going to quit. So what happened was this. I was at the lowest low of my life at this point. So I had failed out. I was staying with my elder sister for the time being, and the person I was dating at the time came to see me at my sister's place in Benin. Those of you who know Benin City very well, Third Junction. That was around that area my sister was living. And this person I was dating came to see me. And actually her plan in coming to see me was to tell me that it was over with us. But by the time she came in from Port Harcourt to Benin to see me, and my elder sister, the husband, everyone welcomed her. There was just this warm welcome. My elder sister and her slept on the same bed that night. They ate from the same pot. They literally ate from the pot, like not plates. They brought the food from fire and ate on the ground with
wow.
the pot, and everyone was really warm and welcoming.
Yeah.
So she couldn't break the news to me at that point. Here's what happened. By the next day, she went back to Port Harcourt and then broke the news to me by phone
Hmm.
that listen, oh, it can't continue. I said, yeah, I understand. I mean, if you were my younger sister or elder sister, I wouldn't even want what you're going through for you. I mean, you're with a guy who doesn't absolutely doesn't even know where he's headed. So I love you enough to also see that part. I love you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you, but I also love you enough to see that I'm not the best for you at this time. And it was a really painful experience. It was about this time of the year in 2013 that we had that conversation. Um, so this was me at the lowest low, and the one person who was like a shining light in my life had just left me. So you don't get any lower than that, trust me, as a young person.
Actually,
Um,
actually.
so I began to ask myself a few questions, and truly you can let me use this word, you can deliver yourself from any problem if you're willing to ask yourself the right questions.
Wow.
So I remember I told you that before now I used to blame, complain, and give excuses. I would look at maybe on Naira Land or newspaper, see someone graduating as the best, and I'll try to look for something that wasn't quite good about their lives. And
Yeah.
that's not hard to find. You will find something. Maybe they are short, or they're not fine, or they don't have a nice dress sense, or something. And then I would double
Yeah.
down on that. Now, this is me doing this on my own, not like I'm telling anyone else. This was me building resilience for why I felt my story wasn't that bad and theirs wasn't that good after all.
Yeah.
So I had decided that, look, if I'm going to be successful from this point on, then I may need to change a few things about my life. And for the first time in my life, I started to ask myself deep questions.
Wow.
Are there people with a worse situation than me who ended up graduating? The answer is yes. Are there people with a worse financial situation than myself who ended up graduating as with a first class? The answer is yes. I went to King's College. Anyone who knows King's College in Nigeria, you know, I mean, It's I'm not that dull, right? So is anyone with a poorer educational background than myself who ended up graduating with a first class? Again, the answer is yes. And the more I kept asking myself these series of quality questions, I began to realize that no one out there was my problem. Not the guys that graduated with a first class, not the other persons. No one else was my problem. I realized for the first time in my life that I was the challenge and I did something. So there is blaming and then there is taking responsibility, right? And I share this a lot on stage. When you're blaming yourself, you're saying, I am the reason for why things have not gone well up to this point. But when you're taking responsibility, you're saying it's the same thing, but it's just a change of language, a change of framework. When you're taking responsibility, you're saying, I am the reason for why things will get better. You see? So with blaming, you're saying, yes, I'm the reason for the negative.
Yeah.
But with responsibility, you're saying, hey, I am going to be the reason for the positives. That was the moment in my life, sometime early 2013, that I decided that, okay, it stops now. All the blames, all the complaints, all the tears, all the blaming, everyone in my space and in my life, it stops here, it stops now. From this point on, I'm going to model what successful people do. And I'm going to try to be successful. And now that I think about it, it's the emotions really rush back because that was not a very easy moment of my life. Because you see, at this point, I was already above 20 years old. You've already built a habit of negativity, trust me, it takes a lot to even jumpstart yourself to get to zero and then to start being positive.
Yeah.
Um, and this is where mentorship then comes in. So I decided, okay, you know what? I'm going to go back to school. And at the time, it sounded like a nice decision to go back to the same school where I dropped out. I wouldn't advise that for any other person. I mean, the story turned out great though, finally, but man,
Only
boy,
imagine. I can only imagine.
like, so deciding to go back to University of Port Harcourt, we end
Yeah.
up writing jam, and thankfully I had the grades requirements to go do economics this time around. Now, here's one thing: I had always loved economics right
Okay.
from secondary school. Economics was my best course. I could literally not read for it, go write it, and at least get a B. I was that good.
Yeah.
I was that good. I think I was the best in our mock WAEC. Like, schools do a mock exam few months to the actual WAEC.
Yeah.
I think I was the best in economics in my class. And this is me who my best position was number 32 out of a class of over 100 people. But I
Yeah.
was the best in economics in my class and very easily in SS3. So if someone had told me that, hey, go do something you love, and maybe this is something that will be helpful to someone. I'm not saying everything you will do with your life, you would love every
Yeah.
part of it, but there should be some core love. At least you should like the thing because challenges will come. It's only something that you like or love that you would be willing to pull through with, even when you're having challenges. So I decided this time around I was going to do economics, and then now, so it wasn't a nice decision going back to the same school because every day I found someone who knew me who would then ask me, "Oh, Ezekiel, why are you here? Are you here for your masters?" Imagine 100 level students, and maybe we are lining up for medicals for 100 level registration
Man.
at Lulu Briggs, and then, in fact, I met my classmate in geology. His name is Police. I think he's from Rivers of Bayelsa. His name is Police, a good friend of mine. He was a staff the of Uniport's medical center,
Wow.
Lulu Briggs. So he comes out and says, "Hey, all you 100 level students, line up. Hey, 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 you! I'll send you away. I'll send you away. Line up." And then he sees me on the line.
Wow.
He said, "Oh boy, what did they do for you?" Eh,
Ah.
I say, "Brother, I'm a 100 level. I'm a
Oh,
100 level." You know. And
wow.
then he got our urine samples that day, and then the next day in the medical, still doing the medicals, I met my HOD back then when I was in geology. He was also my project supervisor. And I
Wow.
gave that man hell, Dr. Se. He's a professor, Professor Se. My goodness. He saw me like there was no escape. This one, he came and sat down where I was sitting, waiting for the tests, those
Wow.
minor tests we do as 100 levels. So there was no
Yeah.
escape. There was no trying to hide my face. There was no bailing. Oh, Divine, there was no escape, man. This is your, like, you've got to face this. He looked at me and said, "Hey, you, I remember you. I was looking for you. Are you not, were you not my project student some years ago?" Yeah. Oh my goodness. So every day I would meet someone who knew me. I went to the library. One another of my classmates from geology, his name is Charles, was a staff of the library. And
Yeah.
what's Uniport's library called again? Ekong? Something
Donald
Ekong?
Ekong. Donald Ekong. Yeah.
Donald Ekong. You see, I'm still good like that, even though it's like 5 6 years ago. So every day I would meet someone either from my fellowship,
Yeah.
NIFES, or from my days in geology, or Ofrima, like the whole faculty of sciences.
Yeah.
Someone somewhere would shall meet me. And these were people who were already lecturers. Like they were already, some were already lecturers. In fact, one of my mentors eventually was actually a friend of mine from back then, who now had a first class in sociology. So this was my life for the first few months in 100 level. But at that point, I decided if we're going to do this, then I'm going to find 10 people who graduated with a first class, and I'm going to submit to them. Now, the key word in all of this sentence I just shared is submit,
Hmm.
meaning I'm going to take in everything they tell me to do, even if it sounds crazy. Because don't forget, who am I? I am a dropout.
Hmm.
I am the Uniport dropout. So if I meet someone who's got a first class and he or she tells me, you wake up every 7 a.m. and you jump 10 times before you squat 10 times, and that's what gets you a first class, I was going to do it.
Wow.
I was not going to argue with them. I was going to submit. And I was also going to model not just what they say to me, I was going to model the way they live their lives.
Wow. Wow.
And these transformations were happening pretty much just on a regular. Even I didn't know that things had started changing in my life. All I had was a decision and a new path. 1 year after, nothing changed about me. 2 years, but over time, people who knew me from way back started to notice that, wait a minute, you no longer give excuses. Oh wow, that's something new. Wait a minute, you no longer blame, or at least you no longer blame as much as you used to.
Yeah.
Blaming takes a long time to take out of the system, I must confess. So the improvements won't even show maybe in your first day or in your first month or in your first year. But for me, I was a dropout. So I was going to submit to these guys who had graduated with the first class, and they would pull me out of it. To be fair with you, Divine, I didn't even know that I would end up having a first class. All I just decided to come back to school to do was to prove to myself that I was not a failure. That was all.
Wow.
That was all. Literally, that was all.
Wow.
You know.
Wow. Wow.
And so mentorship was key for me. So the moment I made that decision, the next big thing was mentorship and guidance and submitting to the mentorship. Because here's another challenge with people. They tell you, "Oh, I want you to mentor me." I mean, Divine, I don't know if you know how many persons have come to me to ask me to mentor them.
I've been one of
Guy,
those
it's
people.
you've been, man. After my TED talk or
Yeah.
after some keynotes or after they see me on TV
Yeah. Absolutely.
sharing an interview or sharing my story, literally after any one of these, I would always get people reach out. And most times they are not ready for what they want. They are just excited that they are in the space of someone they perceive to be successful. And they just need to say something that sounds smart.
Yeah.
And the smartest thing to say if you're a student and you're in front of an overall best graduating student is to tell the person, "I want to be like you. Please mentor me."
Yeah.
But most times we don't mean it. And here's how I know we don't mean it. I usually give them one assignment and they never come back.
Wow.
Just one assignment.
Wow.
And here's what the assignment is. I tell them, okay, go find you 5 people who graduated with a first class. Because I found 10, but I needed 10 because I was a dropout. You are not a dropout, so maybe you don't need 10 people. Go find you 5 people. Because that was my biggest source. For me, that
Yeah.
was my biggest secret.
Yeah.
So it's not like I was sending them away. I was simply telling them, go find in half what I found and submit to them. And then I go one step further and I say, I can't be one of the 5, by the way. So don't
Mm.
think that you found one and you're looking for 4 more. I'm not one of the 5. Go find you 5 people who
Yeah.
have graduated with the first. You say you want to graduate with the first class, go find 5 and then come back to me.
Wow.
In all my time, I think only 1 or 2 people have come back. And I must mention this young man's name. He'll probably graduate with a first class. Charles Wigwe.
Wow.
This guy came back to me in less than 3 days. He was the first person to ever complete that exercise. Now, don't get me wrong. Every other person I've ended up mentoring, of
Yeah.
course, a handful of them have graduated with the first class and all. But for this specific assignment,
Yeah.
this guy came back to me in a few days and said, "Okay, I found them. Here they are." I
Wow.
said, "If can I call them to confirm that you've had conversations with them?" He said, "Yes." And here's what happened. He didn't stop at 5. He had seen what I wanted him to see. Because by the time he started speaking with them, I want you to mentor me. I want you to, they started sharing body of instruction, body of advice with him, and he started finding a trend in what they were saying. So there were common terminologies, common themes that these 5 people were sharing with him. And he was loving the idea that I could find
Mm.
5 different first class graduates from probably different universities, different faculties, different departments. And somehow, somewhere, there are one or two things that are common in their story and in their instructions to me. It
Absolutely.
wowed him, just the way it wowed me.
Yeah.
And he didn't stop at 5. He probably now has about, I don't know, but clearly not. When he showed me the last time, I think he had like 6 or 7, and he said he was going to reach out to more persons because this is what it does, right? It builds you a new community. If you want to get something, and it's not just for education, it's not for academics only.
Yeah.
You want to get good at anything. Maybe you want to start up a tech company, right? Now there are a lot of tech companies that don't quite make it to the big league. So what do? Find you 5 top um companies, or 5, just 5 that are successful. Forget about them being top, forget about them being billion-dollar companies. Find you 5 tech companies that have survived the first 5 years, that have taken their first big break,
Yeah.
first $1 million, whatever. Find 5 and submit to what they are doing. They may not even be in the same space as you. You might be into robotics, they might be into fintech, but you will find, just the way Charles found, you will find a few trends, a few common themes with all of these companies, and it will amuse you. It will really amuse you. So, this was my period. 2014 to 2018 was my season of re rebranding myself, relearning. In fact, I remember one of these 10 first class mentors. Her name is Uzumaka, then Unduka. Now she's married. I had never met her. I got to know about her through one of my friends, Mary. Or is it Joy now? Joy and Mary. The two girls knew Uzumaka. And she had graduated with a first class from the Department of Economics. She
Mm.
was UniPort's overall best female graduating student.
Wow.
So this was someone, like, this was huge. But she
Yeah.
was already in the UK at
Wow.
this time. So I had to reach out to her. Gave me her WhatsApp number, and she was so kind.
Yeah.
She accepted to even speak with me, and then I chatted her up and I said, "Listen, this is who I am. I am a dropout from geology, but I got your number from a friend. And listen, I'm going to do whatever you tell me to do. I don't know if it will end up being a first class, but I'm going to do whatever you tell me to do." And she like me gave me a few assignments to do, and I'll do them, and I'll come back to her for her feedback. And I kept doing that. My first few results came out. It looked like this guy was really serious with his life. So
Yeah.
I now noticed that she now had more time for me. And that's the thing. Anyone who is worth their wheat, anyone who has got any form of success, they are looking for people to mentor.
Actually.
They just want to be sure that they are spending their time or resources with the right person. So
Absolutely.
you've got to show them something that they can bite through. So as I sent her my first, I think it was year 1 first semester results. I can't remember now. It was 4, 5 A's and 1 or 2 B's, whatever
Wow.
it was.
That's
And then
amazing.
I sent it to her. Now she graduated from economics, so she knew that, oh, this course is difficult, and yes, this guy got this. I noticed she now had more time for me, because the next best thing after success, divine, is significance. So with success, you achieve it. It's yours. For me now, I'm overall best graduating student. I've achieved it. It's mine. No one else can take it,
Yeah.
right? But significance is how many other persons have been inspired to go on and achieve what I achieved because of my story? How many other persons' life stories will I find my name who would reach out and say, because of me, they also ended up being overall best graduate students, or also ended up becoming graduating to a first class, or also ended up becoming something better in their lives? That's sweeter than success, significance. Some people call it contribution. So your ability to find your name in other people's autobiography, your
Wow.
ability to find your name in other people's success secrets.
Wow.
So every successful person, everyone who, I mean, now when we say success, I mean people who use the right principles, the right framework. We're not talking about people who cheated their way, who are not even, so they don't want anyone to know what they did because they know it's illegal. No, we are talking about people who became successful the right way. They are actually looking for something better. And that's to be able to say, hey, Divine, that person there, you see that lady, you see that guy? I helped the person become that. Trust me, that one is sweet. And I'm sure you know what I'm saying because you've definitely inspired people over your time. It is sweeter to find yourself at the stage of significance
Wow.
than success. And success is amazing, don't get me wrong. In fact, without success, you may not be able to be significant because people have got to be inspired by you. So you've got to have some form of success that you can lay claim to.
Wow.
But it is definitely sweeter. So the moment she saw that this guy had something, he had stuff, she dug deeper into my space and she began, to apply herself more to me. And well, I'm grateful because all of the 10 people, their CGPAs, by the grace of God, my CGPA was higher than theirs.
Wow. Wow.
So,
That's huge.
and that's not out of disrespect. That's simply because
You put in the
this is where they were. And I simply stood on their shoulders. And so it was just a natural next step. I was going to do better than them.
yeah.
It was just going to be natural, right? I was going to do better than them. So I say that out of all the respect that I can muster. Interestingly, I would only end up seeing Uzumaka face to face when I also came here to the UK, and thankfully she was also in Birmingham. By this time she was now doing her PhD. So
Wow.
she started to mentor me in 2014, 2015, but I only got to see her in 2022,
Wow. I
and
think
end of the year 2022.
I saw that
Yeah, you may
video
have
you
seen
guys
the
did
photo.
together.
Yeah, and the video that I did. Yeah, yeah.
That's
And I grabbed her. This is someone's wife, but I grabbed her and I didn't care, man, because she had no idea
the
how
impact.
she helped me. She could have afforded not to help me out. Hey, I'm too busy. I'm this. I'm that. But I don't know what. And I continue to ask her. I still don't know what you found in me. And all of the other amazing mentors. I don't know what they found in me. Maybe there was a fire in my eyes. Um, then I wasn't using glasses, so perhaps it's easier for them to have seen the fire. I don't know what it is they found in me, but they decided to invest in me, and I am super grateful. I remain grateful to all of them
Wow.
up till this day.
Wow. That's such a journey. Let me, on your behalf, say thank you to these amazing people who you stood on their back so that we could get to know this part of you. But it's really really interesting. You've shared so much. Like I was just in this trance, just so motivated and inspired. I think this is how your mentorship sessions are in the unstoppable group, really. But just to backtrack, you are in a very down point. This was 2013-ish to 2014, and then you did a level of reflection and introspection. And you asked yourself some very hardcore questions, and those questions kind of like prompted you to be like, no, I need to do more with my life, more of. And then you now took it upon yourself, and then you enrolled back into your school. You forgot what other people would say because I mean you are facing your HOD, your friends. These are people who are like, oh, you had just come out from this bad experience and yet you're coming, but you didn't allow that to stop you. Like,
So about what people can say
yeah,
now, it wasn't also that straightforward. Trust me,
okay,
guys. Any transformation from failure to success is never. It's quite ugly.
yeah,
It's quite messy. Truth be told, there were some of them I couldn't even stand telling them the truth. So when they came to me and said, "Are you doing your masters?" I just did. Like, so I'm not here telling you that, oh, I was always telling all of them, oh, I'm 100 level, or
yeah,
nah, I wasn't that bold all the time. Some of them that I knew that there was no escape, I had to just come clean. But for a bit of them who I wasn't so close to them, they just knew me from afar. The moment they said, "Oh, you're here for XYZ," yeah, yeah, I've got to run, I've got to run, and then I just, In fact, it was crazy when I came to do my post UTME.
yeah,
the basic hall was where we all stayed, and then we had to go to the computer rooms to do our test. One of the lecturers, and now whenever I come into Nigeria, I see him, and he likes to introduce me to his students because he's a lecturer and he's doing big things in University of Port Harcourt. One of the lecturers said, "I know you. You were in geology. How can you tell me you are coming back to 100 level? It's a lie. You're here to write this exam for someone." And I tried to convince. In fact, the shirt I wore on the post-UME photo stuff was the same shirt I was wearing that day. I think a red
Wow.
shirt.
Wow.
So I'm like, it me. It is
Yeah.
me, guys. So you know what happened? They
No.
almost made me not to write that exam. So
Really?
eventually, what there's this person, Sake, is a lecturer in physics. Sakunle, I think he's the one in charge of exams in University of Port Harcourt back then. He said, you know what? If you say that you're the one that is writing this exam, I'm going to get someone to take you to that hall. You will write this exam with an invigilator standing just by your side.
Wow.
We will see how you log in. We'll see everything. If the names match and all that before we allow you write this exam. So I wrote my post UTME with an invigilator. Now, computer exams. No, there isn't one invigilator for anybody. Everybody is just. But I wrote mine with. In fact, I didn't even know when the guy left. Apparently, he saw all the proofs he needed and he left me.
Yeah.
So with people, trust me, it wasn't that straightforward. I had things. So when I came in, then before I got these 10 people, I already had about two or three of them. But I kept asking. So I asked my senior colleagues in the Department of Economics, please, who do you know who graduated with the first class? I want to be mentored by them. And I got really interesting responses. I got a few conversations around, oh, forget a first class. Economics, it's like they didn't tell you about economics before you were coming in.
Hmm.
Economics is really difficult. If you are able to just graduate, just take it, take it. I said, but I had done some Google search and I heard that the best graduating student of the school some years ago was from economics. They said, oh, no, the guy was from the part time program, not the full time program.
Wow.
I said, okay. But Uzuamaka Unduka, who I had now known at this point, graduated as a full time. So if you say Mr. Boma
Yeah.
Chugotamuno was a part time student, how about Uzuamaka? What do you have to say about Uzuamaka? He said, no, leave Uzuamaka. Her dad was the deputy vice chancellor of the school. Ah, it was at that point, Divine, I knew that I was speaking to the wrong people. Because at this point, I now knew Uzuamaka. She had shared her story, and the friends through which I got to know Uzuamaka had shared with me that, look, her dad did not even know how well she was doing in school.
Wow.
I would only meet her dad just recently, last year, when we met at Hotel Presidential, and it was an amazing time. I had also met her mom already during her PhD graduation. So they said, "Oh, it was her dad. He was the deputy. How does being the deputy vice chancellor of a school mean that you get all A's?"
Doesn't add
So
up.
I already knew before that time that her dad didn't even know how well she was doing in school. He only began to know that she was doing well when she got a few scholarships from a few companies back then. And he was like, oh, okay, nice. Keep doing your stuff. So I knew this. If I did not know Mr. Boma's story, I knew Uzumaka's story.
Yeah.
And no one was going to tell me anything negative about Uzumaka. She merited it. She more than merited her first class. And so I realized that these people were sharing based off of their own fears and not the reality on ground. And so that's one set of persons, people who reflect their fears on you. Others at some different points were saying, oh, you shouldn't have gone back to Uniport. You should have just done one program, a 2-year program somewhere, and you become a consultant in this, that, that, and you can blah, 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 blah. You don't have to put yourself through this shame of going back. So when you go back, the nicest people that used to call you sa, 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 when they see that you're now their junior in school. How so these ones were sharing around ego.
Yeah.
And for me, at this point, my ego had been trashed. You're talking to a dropper, a fail out, who used 6 years to do a 4-year course and still did not graduate. Who whose love of life had left him because he was a nobody. There was no ego left for me at that point. So I'm sorry. Any story around, oh, what would people say? I didn't even care at this point. And I think this is quite instructive because if you're going to do big things for your life, you also would have to have an element of not caring. And if you will care at all, you should care about the people who have achieved what you want to achieve. Those are the people you should listen to, not your mother, not your father, unless your mother or father have achieved what you want to achieve. If they did not achieved it, I'm sorry. You see, family wasn't built to inspire you to achieve success, unless you're coming from a billionaire family.
Mm.
Family are there to support you even when you fall. That's what family is for. Hey, yeah, you failed, then hey, come now. Person know they throw away in brother. That's what family is there for. To be a support group when you fail. In fact, you will know this. Sometimes if there's a way you succeed and succeed over and above the average person in your family, and then they begin to talk ill about you. You get. So you can't necessarily sit down and say, "Oh, my mommy said this." When people tell me that, I ask them, "Okay, is your mother?" Let's say you want to become whatever it is, or you want to start a business, and then the person tells me, "Oh, my mother said I should not do it." I say, "Okay, who's your mother?" And I don't mean it like in an insulting way. Who is your mom? Is your mom a millionaire business person, a billionaire business person? And when I'm
Yeah.
asking this question, I'm looking at the person's eyes, and the person is clearly embarrassed because he knows that his mother is not any of those.
Yeah.
But a few actually get what I'm trying to say. Because as I'm saying, okay, you want to build a $1 million business, I don't
Yeah.
know, anything. And you said your mother said you can't do it or you shouldn't do it. And here you are telling me that your mother doesn't own a $1 million business or a $1 billion business. In fact, your mother is nowhere close to any of those goals. How are you getting your advice from your mother? How does that even make sense? I'm able to know that because I've learned the hard way. But I'm still shocked and surprised at people who give a damn about what their friend has got to say. And by the way, that friend has not achieved what you want to achieve. It's still crazy. It still boils my head every time I hear it. Someone says, "Oh, I don't want people to talk." Excuse me, who are the people?
That that's just such a huge problem. Like so many people today spend so much time worrying about what other people say or think. And the fact is that the fact many people are not even thinking about you. That's what I even came to realize. And it was just very quick experiment. Like you're in a group photo. Who is the first person you look at? Most like you look at themselves.
Yourself.
Yes. Like so
Yeah.
people are more focused on themselves. Yeah, they might say things about it, but then they forget it's not really their point of the day. So we should not really let what other people say stop us from doing anything.
I
Really.
I also did an experiment of mine back then in school. When I came back, I only had about two trousers and a few shirts. I actually thought that everybody had figured that I didn't have so many clothes. But divine, after having conversations with people, like genuinely having conversations and reporting myself to them that don't mind this my trouser, this my only trouser. They were genuinely shocked. They were like, "Oh, is it the only trouser?" And I said, haven't you been noticing it? It's just two now. It's just two trousers and three shirts. Really? I didn't know. This is not one, not two, not 10 persons in my class because I have a way of communicating. I like to be around
Yeah.
people. I wasn't the snobbish, good student. I was a student who learned something and quickly distributed
Yeah.
to his
Yeah.
classmates. So I connected with everyone. In fact, like a large chunk of my class had slept in my room at one point of their lives because they needed to learn something from me. It didn't matter, male or female, honestly. You know. Um, so I then discovered divine. Wait, you mean these people are not even aware that it's just two trousers and three shirts? I thought everybody knew. I thought I would be the talk of the class. But it turned out, like you just said, that everybody is focused on their own challenges.
Yeah.
Not that they don't care about you, they would love to care, but let them solve their own problems first.
Actually.
And solving their problems takes a lifetime.
Actually.
So they may need a lifetime to sort out their problems before they now even notice that, okay,
Someone else
you've only got two trousers or two two shirts.
is-
So we've got to understand that the people who matter in your life, they don't care about the little things that we think they care about. And the people who care about those little things don't matter in your life. I heard this from Pastor Kingsley Okonkwo when he was talking about those who are waiting to do a big wedding just for the sake of big wedding. He said, look, the people who care about a big wedding for you, they actually don't matter in your life. The real people who matter in your life, they will even be looking for how you would save your money so that you can use the large chunk of the money in the marriage itself, right?
Absolutely.
So So
Absolutely.
that's it. So you'll find loads of people. You find people who would position their fears on you. You'll
Absolutely.
find people who are confused, just as confused as you are, but they need to sound amazing. So they come out and tell you stuff that they even haven't proven. Like it's
Absolutely.
crazy. It's
Absolutely.
crazy every day.
Yeah.
People, oh, like it's crazy,
I,
man. It's
I,
crazy.
I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. So we should not let these things slow us. I think anyone who has been to this conversation for the past 20 minutes, if there's one key thing they should never forget is that no matter what point you are in your life, right, there's always a way out. You can always find a way out. And how did you do
Yes,
it?
sir.
Just like you did. You found the right people, the right community, the right mentors, and these are people who guided you. And you were not just passively, you know, you were an active observer. I will use the word intentional, right? You are
Oh, I
intentional.
was intentional. I was a dropout, man. So there was no pride in me, no ego.
Yeah, absolutely.
If they asked me to go do stuff, I did it, man. And I came back with feedback for them.
Absolutely.
No jokes. Like you should have seen me then. I hope I can even get back that learning capacity because I was really
Absolutely.
crazy. Someone, one of the mentors, first class mentors. His name is Dr. Abiodun. I think he's in South Africa now. He was a friend of mine from NIFES, and then he graduated with a first class in sociology. But he had
Yeah.
become a lecturer. I came to him to tell him that one of the lecturers, bless his soul, Doctor, he's late now. He taught us a course in sociology,
Yeah.
which is Mr. Biodun's Dr. Abiodun's department. And so I came to him and told him how this lecturer is not good in lecturing. Oh, he doesn't even know how to lecture. And he was just listening to me. But as he was listening to me, I noticed he was doing something like this, like he was looking for something. And when I was done ranting, he brought out about two or three textbooks to me. And he said, "Okay, Ezekiel, you said the guy isn't good in lecturing. He was my lecturer as well. And yeah, you are correct. He wasn't good. I didn't even get an A in his course.
Yeah.
So here's what you're going to do." He then brought about two or three textbooks and said, "Because the lecturer is not good, here are textbooks that will help you cover the gap."
Hmm.
Wow. Now, don't forget, I am coming from a place where if something is not good, you just complain about it and you let go. But this was now something I now had to model from successful people. Yes, they are aware that things are not good. They are aware that the economy is not good. They are aware. Trust me, they are aware. But while others are complaining, blaming, and worrying, they are busy looking for the leverage that they can use to match the gap. So they are simply saying, okay, the economy is going to be worse off next year than it was last year.
Yeah.
So if I was working this hard, I need to work even harder. I need to add more leverage points to my business. I need to diversify. You see, that's the way successful people think. Every other person, they just complain about the country and they leave it there. So
Absolutely.
I ended up reading about 3 to 5 textbooks, no jokes, divine, for one course. And I read those textbooks more than once. Again, no jokes. And when the result came out, it was Mr. Biodun that went helped me to go and check it. Sociology, so 101.1 or point 2, I can't remember now. He went in, came out and said, what's your math number again? I told him again, U 2006. Sorry, that's my geology math number. U 2014 600. Huh, I've forgotten my economics.
I mean, it's,
No, it's U 2014 6005084, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, U 2014
yeah.
6005084. My geology math number was U 2006 5565444. Uh,
Yeah,
uh.
the memory is still there.
Even when I failed out of the course, I still remember the math number. It's crazy, man. So I
So,
shared the math number again, and I was like,
yeah.
but he knew the math number. I just told him, Abi, I don't go get F.
Hmm.
So he went in, came out again, and he shook his head and he said, Ezekiel, this guy is really dramatic. Mr. Biod, if you're watching this, you got me that day. He said, Ezekiel, when I saw the result, but it was unbelievable. So I had to come and ask you again before sharing this type of news.
Ah, your heart's
There was
there.
only one, there was only one A, and you got the A. And right there in the faculty, I knelt down, lifted my hands to heaven, and I said, I think I found a way to achieve success.
Wow. Wow.
I think I found it. I think I found it.
Hard work.
I think I found. I think I've struck gold because this is someone who I look up to. He's got a first class. He never got an A in that lecturer's course,
Wow.
and he did the guy's course for like 3 or 4 courses. Now
Wow.
this is just me doing just that one sociology course.
I had a yeah.
You know, it was crazy, man. Like, oh,
Let's
so
I want to go specific right now because we also have students who are watching this and listening to this. And when it comes to academic success, a lot of people have this mindset of you're either born smart or you're not born smart. I've had conversations with people and it reminds me of Carol Dweck research whereby she talked about people had like a fixed mindset and like a growth mindset. You obviously have shown that you had a growth mindset because you didn't let your abilities of the past stop you. You kept on growing and getting better. So first, speak to those people who have those fixed mindset of, oh, see, my brain is just like this. I can never do better. You found the secret to success, right? So for like a couple of minutes, just like speak to that. How can they do that? And I think the follow-up question will be like specific strategies now for academic success. So a student is listening to this right now and they are currently doing average in school. What can they do specifically? Maybe study strategies, hacks, things that they could just follow right now and it could basically just help them, even if just a small margin, but it could improve academically.
okay, so let's start off to achieve any kind of success. I
Yeah,
don't care if it's academics or anyone. There are three core aspects of the framework, and I only discovered this in hindsight.
yeah,
Three of them. The first and most important one is the mindset. The mindset would refer to specific behaviors and way of thinking and habits
yeah,
of successful people. All successful people have this. Doesn't matter whether they are an Olympic champion or they are an award-winning DJ from different walks of life, but the same mindset. I usually call it the champion's mindset.
oh,
These are people who surround themselves with successful people so they can feed off their success and build a firmament or a community
yeah,
of success around them, which is what I did at that time. Um, they never give excuses. They don't blame, complain, or give excuses. They are only grateful, take action, and take responsibility. So I don't mean to give a master class, but that's just the mindset aspect.
that's
The
beautiful.
next part of the framework is skill set. These are sets of like skill set of skills, set of things that you can learn, practice, and get good at.
Yeah,
So if we go specific with students now, what are the core skills that a student needs to achieve success? It doesn't matter whether it's medicine or engineering or robotics.
yeah,
I believe there are at least five of them. So there's reading skills, there's writing skills, and under writing skills, we have note taking and also exam writing. You know, there's a way to write in exams. It is a skill. A lot of students don't even know that. They just do their thing, and no wonder they get the kind of results that they get.
yeah,
So we've said there's reading skills, there's writing skills, there's comprehension skills, which is your ability to understand what you have read. There's recall skills, ability to recall when needed what you have read and understood. And then there's presentation skills.
oh,
Now, in our world, I'm sure there are more skills, but the point is, in your field of life, what are the core skills that you need to get good at?
hmm,
So this takes away guesswork.
yeah,
It now puts the whole um, formula in front of you. You now know you've got to learn them
yeah,
and get good at them. Learn them, practice them, and get good at them. So, in answering bits of your question, anyone can be successful because anyone can learn core skills.
hmm, oh,
Anyone can be successful because anyone can get the mindset. It's going to be difficult. The mindset part, I still believe, is the hardest part of any framework because that's the one that changes you really. Before you lose a few kilograms or a few pounds in the gym,
yeah,
you've got to first have the mindset of someone who is ready trim. Like the mindset comes before the success comes, if that makes any sense. Right?
absolutely,
The mindset of a champion comes before the champion
absolutely,
emerges on the field.
absolutely,
So we've talked about mindset, we've talked about skill set. What are the set of skills you need to learn, practice, and get good at?
yeah,
And then the final part of it is the tool set. Now, notice how success has two parts on you. You get to be the one to assimilate the mindset. You get to be the one to practice the skills.
Hmm.
The only thing that is outside you in that framework are the tools. So, what are the set of tools you need in that field, whether in academics, in business, in your career path, in data analytics, robotics? What are the set of tools? I assume internet will be one of them if you're into robotics, and a bit of having a solid computer that is able to do a lot of coding, that has coding power, and all of those. So the tools are easy things, not easy, but the tools are known. Everyone knows the tools they should be using if they're a data analyst, for
Might I
example.
might
You
I
should be using.
add ChatGPT?
Right. So the tools are even getting, like, ChatGPT is now integrating a lot of tools,
Yeah, actually,
different array, and bringing it into one place.
yeah,
So
you're
my
right.
point is this, that the tools are more accessible. The real hard work is in the mindset and in the skill set.
Actually,
So for any student, I would ask them, go get the mindset first. If you're not achieving great results, there's stuff that you're not doing. I've mentored, oh my goodness, I'm sure I've mentored over 2,000 students, like actually mentored, like had
yeah,
conversations on WhatsApp, video calls. I love video calls. I'm sure you know that.
absolutely,
Anytime you
absolutely,
call me, I'm going to switch it to a video call. I
absolutely.
just love the energy I'm hopefully able to bring into a person's space just by them seeing me.
Sure.
So whenever someone comes to me and they tell me, oh, they're not quite getting the results, it doesn't take me long to figure out where the problem is. Because again, who am I? I am the UniPort dropout. So I, I'm able to understand more because I wasn't a success all my life. I wasn't the guy that was coming first from nursery school, primary school. Nah, I only got my own success just at the last few years. So I know what it is that I did that made me to be a failure in academics. So when I hear someone talking like the Ezekiel of 2004, I'm like, hey, 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 don't go there. Don't go there. Hey, you want to give excuse? Oh, you want to tell me that your lecturer has not been coming, and he just came only one day and gave you course outline, and that's why you failed. Hey, 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 don't go there. Don't go there. Don't go there. Don't go there. Oh, you want to tell me that the lecturer didn't just like your face? That's why he gave you an F. Hey, 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 don't go there.
Yeah,
I've been there before. It's not a pretty place to be. Come out of there. Come.
I,
Please help me. Help me, just come out, you know.
that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
So
That's beautiful.
there's that, it's the mindset, the skill set, and the tool set.
Absolutely,
If anyone uses that framework in any field of life, then it's now just going to be a question of how long can you stay consistent doing those right things, but you definitely achieve success.
absolutely. I loved how you made it universal, not just even to students, to anyone in any walks of life. That was very beautiful.
Yeah,
Well,
and I've given the framework to several persons, people in
absolutely.
communications. There's one of my friends. She's the youngest public relations officer of a higher institution in Nigeria. She's
You,
just 26.
you,
She's the youngest PRO, I dare say that,
you've had
and
tremendous impact.
she's doing amazing stuff. There are several people from different array, because you see, I love the idea of helping people tweak things and helping them get. And every time I use this framework, it works for everyone all the time, no jokes,
Absolutely.
all the time
There's
without
something I want to
exceptions.
even ask you because, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there's this question of like your why. One of the first conversations I had on this podcast, the lady Precious Okon, she was a valedictorian, and she pointed out how you have to have a strong why behind anything you're doing. And I think you sort of like answered that question in that your why at the time was kind of like prove that you could actually make something of your life, you could actually do better. And that like drove you to the point that you became a success. I'm curious to know, is that your why then? And then right now, what would you say your why is? What's pushing you right now? Because you're still doing big
So
things.
thank you so much. So my why has had to evolve over time.
yeah.
To be honest with you, my why initially wasn't even to prove to myself that I was not a failure. Was It
Yeah.
was to prove to naysayers that I was not a failure.
Wow.
But again, because I was at a phase of personal development, I soon found out that negative motivation cannot motivate you long enough.
Hmm.
And this is what I mean. If there was this, wicked stepmother you had, Nigerian movies, that storyline,
yeah.
your wicked stepmother gave you soured food to eat, if at all she even gave you food, and you suffered all your life, and now 10 years later, 15 years later, you're now doing big things. If your motivation for becoming successful was to be able to drive your state of the art car, to your stepmother's compound and
I'm
prove
sure
to her
that's yeah.
that you have arrived, and see how the shock on her face and how she will apologize and all of that. Well, here's the thing: if she doesn't apologize, what then happens? If you drive that car and she's still as
That's
venomous and
yeah.
as toxic as, then what's the gain? Okay, let's even assume that she ends up giving you exactly what you had cooked in your mind. So you drive in and she comes and says, "Oh, my son, I've always known you will be successful. Oh, I'm sorry I gave you sour deba. Oh, I'm sorry I." Right. So when you are done with that story and it really did come out, then what next? Because I've mentored and I've coached a lot of people
Yeah.
who had a misguided why.
Hmm.
Someone somewhere told them to channel their anger. And it is okay. You can channel anger, but you can't channel it long enough to sustain success.
Hmm.
I can tell you that for free. So I had to learn to change my why and move it from proving naysayers wrong to proving to myself that um I'm not a failure. But even that was still not strong enough, because you see, your why, the truest sense of your why,
Yeah.
stems from your spirit,
What does that
and
mean?
it will never be about you.
Hmm.
Your truest why should never be about you. And there's an exercise I learned from Dean Graziosi. Dean Graziosi, he's a top partner of Tony Robbins.
Okay.
He talks about the 7 levels deep. And I have done this exercise with a few people before now, and it's crazy. Every time they break down in tears. I don't want to do it on your podcast. We don't want we don't want you breaking down. But this is the exercise, right?
Yeah.
Divine. You write your goal boldly, and the most ambitious goal of yours. Okay, let me ask you, what's your most ambitious goal? Let's just try it. We'll just go say 4 steps so that we don't get to the places where you cry. What's your most ambitious goal right now?
In life or
Yeah, in life
specifically right
generally, or
now.
the one you're currently chasing, or in life generally. What's your most ambitious goal with figures and all the zeros and all that?
And we're having this podcast. An ambitious goal could make it be at least top listing podcast. And let's start with Africa because I really
In
want to own
Africa?
it and impact more people. So that's an ambitious
Okay.
goal right now.
Okay, so you would have the specifics. You would know what the top podcasts are currently
Listen,
having as the numbers, as per their number of streams, number
yeah,
of partnerships behind the scene, and all that. Okay, great. Now, why do you want that?
I think it would show that because kind of like me starting this podcast, I doubted myself a lot. And I was
Mm,
like, why should I do this? Who am I to even start a podcast? But then me starting this podcast is also me trying to find answers to questions that bothers me and learn from other people, right? So it will
okay,
mean that other people resonate with what I'm doing. And that's why more people
okay,
are listening to it.
okay. So that was level one, right? Your why was so that hopefully you can find people who resonate with what you are bothered about and what you want to learn about,
Yeah.
correct? The level two will be, why is it important to you to be bothered about that? Now, the idea behind this, I don't want to go, because trust me, by the time you get to level four, you break down in tears.
Yeah.
The idea with the 7 levels deep is to ask yourself why on each of the reasons you have given.
Yeah.
And don't stop at 3, don't stop at 4, don't stop at 6. It must get to 7.
Hmm.
At first, you'll be answering your why from your top of your head. Oh, why do you want? Oh, because I want to inspire. Why do you want to do that? Oh, because of the. Oh, why do you? Gradually, by the time you get to level 3, level 4, you would have exhausted all the whys from your head. And divine, you now start speaking from your heart. And that's where the tears really does come from.
Hmm.
By the time you get to level 7, trust me, even if you're at level 6 and you're already crying, you think that you've found a bulletproof why. But don't tempt yourself. Just go that 7th level and find you that truest why.
I see.
You will find that because it is 7 levels deep, that will be the same reason for why you will do different things in your life, because it's at the core of who you are.
Wow.
When anyone finds their why 7 levels deep,
Yeah.
it's like a rebirth. it's like a transformation. It's literally a transformation, because what has happened is that you've had to take out things that you had buried, traumas that you had buried. We grow up and we begin to act like, oh, the things that people said to us when we were children, it doesn't matter. But that's really the traumas that we take all through life. That's the trauma you take all through life, right? So by the time you go to level 6, 7, you are unearthing all of those things, and you will find your truest why. So that's how, for the past few years, that's how I've been sharing with people on finding their why. So maybe you should go home and do this stuff.
Definitely.
Okay, after the podcast, do this stuff. Try it out. Make sure no one is around unless that person is used to seeing you cry. And but yeah, I would also advise that your audience would should do this.
Definitely.
Go 7 levels deep. Ask yourself why. Just first off, write the goal.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the goal is. Just write the goal, and then ask yourself why. Write the answer. That was level one. Ask yourself why you want that answer you gave in level one. That becomes your level two. Go 7 levels deep, and you will find your truest, most powerful motivation, or your
That,
truest, most powerful why.
that's amazing. I'm definitely going to do this exercise because we all need to have that why, and it has to come from within the heart. So I really
Right.
appreciate you sharing that. And I think going through this whole conversation so far, right from your days in geology to economics to graduating, I'm sure a lot of people are curious to know what's next on your plate, right? What are you doing right
Mhm.
now? So if you were asked that, what would you say that would be?
So let me quickly answer my own why,
Yeah.
because I tried it for myself, and trust me, at level 4, level 5, I broke down in tears.
Yeah.
And a lot of things came back rushing through my mind, and then I had to go to level 7. My truest why is so that I can take all of what has happened in my life and use it to inspire other people. So all of the traumas, and that's why my name is going to remain, or my tag name is going to remain, the Uniport Dropout, because I want people, people can resonate with that.
Yeah.
So that's my um that's mine. And so in answering your question, what's the next thing I'm doing? Well, I'm in the UK. I'm a youth pastor here in the UK
Yeah.
under the RCCG family. My parish's name is Salvation Theatre in Birmingham, and it's got about 7 8 daughter parishes. Like, it's opened up 7 or 8 parishes around, in and around Birmingham here. So for me, as a youth pastor or a youth leader, I get to be able to look into the eyes of young people and inspire them. And literally, they get to hear me talk like this every other day. But it's not just speaking to them over a pulpit that matters a lot to me. It's actually the one-on-ones, when they come to me with those specific things, and we just share after service, or they call me up. You know, just being able to share
Yeah.
on that level, and I see and I sense that this person is leaving me now more inspired than where they were before. So, as an example, one of them, she's really amazing, like the tallest person in the church, Alive Youth Church. She comes to me and she says, oh, just wanted to tell me that she wants to take away a responsibility we gave her in the youth church. And I was looking at her, and I could just tell that she just wanted to, when you want to stay comfortable, you don't want to have to grow, you don't want to have to put yourself out there. And then I started taking her through trends. What have you noticed about yourself in this aspect and that aspect and that aspect?
Yeah.
And we came to a conclusion together that she's made for greatness. Every time she gets into a room, she ends up connecting with the top person in the room, every time. And I said, you can't possibly think that it's a coincidence. We've shared about 7 different times this kind of thing has happened. Don't you think this is God's way of telling you, hey, my girl, I've put you in that room so you can have conversations with these kinds of persons and grow your mind and be able to do big things? She left that conversation with me, accepting back what we had shared with her, and even taking up 1 or 2 more responsibilities.
Beautiful.
This was someone who wanted to have nothing to do with stuff again. So that's the part I really love, and that's really what it is for me. So the next big thing is taking my message out there on social media more seriously. I've started shooting videos just from my room here.
Yeah.
Shoot videos, less than 1 minute videos, edit it, and
Put it out there.
put it out there. So I have an amazing editor from Nigeria that I'm working with,
Yeah.
Prudence, and it's just to put out stuff and
Inspired in
get
that
more people to
direction.
know this story. Yeah, because not a lot of people. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the number of people who have helped share my story in
Yeah.
pulpits, in conferences. I've heard versions of my life story that I'm like, that part didn't quite happen, but I don't know where you got that side from. Like I've heard different.
Version.
Oh, this person told me that, and I'm like, I'm the one. No, it's me. Like I'm the one. It happened. That's not quite how it happened, you know.
I
And
know.
I'm grateful for that. But it's now time for me to put myself out there as
Yeah.
Ezekiel, the UniPort dropout, and hopefully inspire people,
Definitely,
young people.
definitely. I know this
You know, I'm now a
conversation.
married man
I was
with
getting
my
to
twins,
that.
so I also need to start doing this because fatherhood
Yeah.
changes something about you. My wife is my babe. She's my G. She's my partner. So she would love me whether I'm successful or not. But when you end up having children, you begin to think that okay, I think I have to do better. So I want to be able to inspire the world. I want them to grow up watching me inspire people of different tribes, of different races. So this is me saying I'm no longer going to be sitting my butt on my unique story.
Yeah.
I'm going to put myself out there more, especially here in Europe, in the UK, especially from Africa and just around the world. Maybe it's because of a time like this that God has placed me on this platform and on this continent to be able to affect both Africa and the rest of the world. So I'm really excited about the next big things that I'll be doing. Maybe your audience should watch out for Ezekiel Ulebor. I'll just start sharing stuff very soon. But I'm grateful to everyone who has shared my story up till now. I'm
Absolutely.
grateful to you. Even the stories that weren't quite the real one, but hey, you shared it at least. You inspired at least one person in your audience, and I'm truly grateful for that.
Absolutely, absolutely. This has been an amazing conversation. And as we gradually like wrap up the conversation, there's this segment where we do like a quick fire question. So like just give a very
Okay.
quick answer to it, right? So the first question
Ah,
I asked I have to ask about a book. So what's one book that has changed your life or you recommend to anyone?
without a doubt, Think and Grow Rich.
Ooh, nice.
And if you're reading it, it's not so that you can just grow rich. It's a mindset book. Like it's a book that really hits on your mindset. The Millionaire Next Door is another one. The Millionaire Mindset, I think by Harv T. Eker, is another one. They're a handful, of course. They're a handful.
Allow me to recommend a book. I don't know if you've read it,
Yeah, sure.
but
I'm here with my pen.
it's The Five Types of Wealth by Sahil Bloom. The
The one that says health is one of the wealth, relationships. Oh,
yeah, time wealth, money wealth.
five types of wealth. I'd have to go read it again.
By
By who?
Sahil Bloom. He just came out recently, actually, like a month.
He'll Bloom. Anyway, with five types of wealth, I should be able to find the
Yeah,
book.
yeah.
Thank you so
It's a
much.
very beautiful book, I'll look forward to getting your feedback.
Oh,
And
yeah, sure.
then,
Expect it.
I think the second question would be if you could have dinner with any historical figure in the past, who would it be?
Am I allowed to say Jesus Christ?
That's a great answer.
I mean, if I'm allowed to say Jesus Christ, I
Well,
would.
he's not
But
historical.
but but a funny one would be Abraham,
Hmm,
like in the Bible. Now I'm still on Bible days now,
hmm,
and for one reason, there's this character in the Bible that really triggers a lot of emotions in me, Melchizedek.
hmm.
So I would want to have a dinner with Abraham just so I can ask who is Melchizedek and what's his form. Like till today, no one has been able to tell us clearly, is he Jesus Christ? Was he a form of, in the Old Testament, who was this person that was both king and priest? Who was the king of Salem? Whose kingdom reigned forever? And all of those stuff, right? It is really.
I think
But coming to contemporary time. Yeah, you want to say something?
no, no. I was going to say we can have that conversation around that because I might have sort of an answer.
Oh, please, I'll drop off behind the scene when we are done here. But coming to our time, um must the person have be late or anyone from history?
Okay, let me give you a easy part. It could be anybody, even currently alive. Wanted someone from.
Currently alive.
It could be anybody.
Right. Okay. If currently alive, it will be Ibukun Awushika.
The next question will be one daily habit that keeps you grounded.
I learned this one
Are
from
we back?
the CEO of a company I partnered with back in the days. Um, his name is Joe Wojcicki. It's around gratitude. So he says that every evening or every night before he goes to bed, he forces his mind to think about 5 things for which he is grateful for that day. It doesn't matter how terrible that day went, he has to force his mind to find 5 things that he's grateful for. Now that's really instructive in many ways, because what it does to you is that first, that's the
Mm,
last thing you're literally thinking about before you go to bed. You don't get many finer precursors to a lovely dream than that, than having
yeah.
stuff you're grateful about just before you sleep. But it also tricks them, well, not trick now, but it trains your mind. There's a muscle in the brain that begins to see the good in life. So when I started doing this, it was really difficult. Like sometimes the fifth thing on my list will be, thank God I'm alive. That was because I couldn't quite find a lot of things. But over time, I began to open my mind to find things to be grateful for. So during the day, I would say, yeah, that would be one of the things I'll be grateful for. Oh, yeah, thank God. In fact, I've already got to my five. Sometimes it's up to 10, because I have now trained my mind to to open itself up to seeing things to be grateful about. And really, this is one core message I preach. Like, I'm an apostle of gratitude, man, because all big things as we know them come because you already have a foundation of gratitude, right? So that's it for me. The biggest thing for me as a habit, daily habit, is before I get unconscious on my bed, I make sure I think about 5 things that I'm grateful for. And these days, it's no longer difficult to find 5 things. But when you start this exercise at first, it's going to be difficult, especially if you are a negative person. It will be difficult to find. But force yourself. And if you can't find any of the things, go lower, go lower. Oh, thank God I'm able to use my legs. That's something. Thank God I'm able to breathe. Just force yourself to find 5 things every day. What you would
Yeah.
end up doing to yourself over time is that it now begins to open you up to lovely things to be grateful for. Isn't it amazing how when you are now looking for things to be grateful for, it now becomes multiplied in your life? It's amazing. I remember, and this is just something to buttress it. I remember back then when I was in Nigeria, I wanted to get I've even
You can hear
forgotten
me,
what the
yeah?
car is now. Venza, Toyota Venza. Yes, I wanted to get Toyota Venza back then in Nigeria. And all of a sudden, in Port Harcourt, I started figuring out like 10 or more Venzas on the road every day. Like the moment I became conscious that this was the car I wanted to get, Toyota Venza, I started seeing Toyota Venzas every day, up to 10, every single day. As long as I go out, I would find at least 10 Venzas. So because I became conscious that that was what I wanted, I started seeing it. They've always been there in my space. The Venzas have always been there. I just didn't notice it. But the moment I became intentional about this one thing, I started to see it. So the moment you become intentional about being grateful in your life, you begin to attract things that you will be grateful for. I believe that would
Absolutely.
be a massive habit that anyone can pick.
Absolutely. I think it's even in like backed by science that this part of the brain, the reticular activating system. So whenever you become so fixated on it, you just tend to like fire it to keep focusing on that and you tend to notice it more often. And
You are
that
the
aspect of
doctor.
like
You will be the one to tell me.
but that aspect of like gratitude is really important because we live in a world whereby people are no longer grateful for what they have in life. But even the commonest thing, "Oh, I'm grateful for my ability to taste food." Because there are people who do not even have this ability today. And just being very grateful is something that makes you more optimistic in life. I can even prolong your life because each day you then have something that you're looking forward to. I think the last question in this segment, very quickly, like in 30 seconds, will be so if you could go back, give the 20-year-old Ezekiel a piece of advice, right? What would it be?
Huh. Okay. 20-year-old Ezekiel, that would be 17 years earlier. 20-year-old Ezekiel, I would have told Ezekiel that, hey, you see this your friend NJ? who has just come into your space. She's going to end up being your wife, so you better get married to her faster than. Don't waste her time by another 15 years. Just get married to her. She's amazing. She would help multiply things in your life. That's one advice I would have
And
given
she
to
did.
myself. But
She gave me two kids.
no, I mean no jokes. The babe multiplies stuff in my life. She's absolutely amazing.
No,
Baby,
man.
if you're watching this, you know I love you, girl. I absolutely love you, baby.
The singles
Yeah.
cannot
So
relate.
what was it you asked me again before I entered
Yeah,
love
I think.
matter? Yes, 20
And
year
that's
old.
right.
So
Yeah.
I would probably tell myself that you're unstoppable.
Yeah.
Don't don't take in the words that people who are just as afraid as you are telling you. Instead, focus on what God has put into you. At 20, I was still struggling in my days in geology. And if I had known, I would have just known that you're not defined by your success in academics. Even my first class doesn't define me now. Like I tell people, a first class doesn't guarantee success. The quality of your decisions going forward is what will guarantee success.
Yeah.
So I'll probably tell myself to go easier on myself and not blame myself for all the silly mistakes I had made earlier in my life. Yeah, that too. Sorry, it took longer than 30 seconds.
No, but it had to be said. It had to be said. I love those words, and I'm even taking notes right now. You're unstoppable. We all are. You had a unstoppable club mentorship team, part of it, and I'm sure a lot of people will be like, "How can they be mentored by this man? How can they get in touch with you?" A lot of people have questions. So please, what would be the best way for people to connect with you and really get to know you?
Oh, well, I divine, to be honest, I actually don't mentor students anymore in that capacity that I
Yeah,
used to. Not because I feel like I'm now a big boy who has left Nigeria now, none of those. I just feel like there are now a lot of people I can ask them to go to. I've mentored a lot of
yeah,
amazing people who have a first class, second class upper,
yeah.
amazing people around the world who I can easily ask them to go to. So, but if you want to connect with me, if you can find me Ezekiel Ulebor on any of the social media platforms. Hopefully, I'll be taking YouTube seriously very soon. So
Absolutely.
Ezekiel Ulebor on
And
any of the platforms or the UniPort Dropouts, depending on what the platform allows.
absolutely. I'm sure we'll be sure to tag it at the end of this podcast in the description box anywhere you're watching. It's been an amazing
Great.
conversation. It's really been like we've talked about so much. I have my notes here. I've been taking a lot of notes. I'm going to watch this conversation just to make sure that everything is really ingrained here because your story has been one that is really inspiring and I'm sure will resonate a lot of people out there and really make them take life more intentional and not give up on life. I really talked about some really sensitive points. Like no matter your lowest point in life, there's always a way out, and you just have to find the right
Yes,
people
sir.
that can bring
There's
that
always a way out.
out of you. What's your last message to people who are listening to this?
Ah, the world as we know it is advancing at such a fast pace, but the basics of life remain the same. Find
Yeah.
someone you love, double down on loving them and giving them your all. Find one thing that you can dig your teeth into.
Hmm.
Get good at it, even if you can't become the best, but get good at it. Once you are good at it, be able to look back and help inspire others. So, growth and contribution are the key things in life. Whatever it is that you've grown in, there are people who are still struggling somewhere below the ladder from where you are. Find those people and help inspire, even if it's just one person. Together, we can all inspire the world and hopefully take us from where we are, being an ungrateful generation, to an amazing, grateful generation. God bless you.
Wow, that was an amazing way to wrap up the conversation. It's been an absolutely pleasure, Mr. Ezekiel, having you on the podcast, and we can't wait to see more of what you're doing and continue to inspire other people. Thank you so much for your time. That's it, guys. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of the Intentional Minds podcast. I really hope you walked away with one or two powerful insights because I know I did. One key insight for me is about taking ownership of your life. He stopped giving the blame games, stopped giving excuses, and just took control and made a plan to achieve success for himself. That's something I really want to do in my own life. Also, is that I can't do it alone. If there's anything I want to achieve success in, I need to find other people who have achieved that success and like learn from them, reach out to them, and like submit to the direction and guidance that they are going to give. And then the three keys to achieving success: the mindset, the skill set, and the tool set. These three components would help you in any endeavor that you want to venture in. And that negative emotions might push you for a while, but they can't sustain long term success. So, once again, thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you gleaned from the insights that were shared, please like, share, and spread the word about the Intentional Minds podcast. Until next time, stay intentional.